And we're live. Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. How are you doing today? What is going on your Friday? We are here for our Friday stream. Bendita is joining us. Come here, sweet girl. Come on. Hi. Every time you do this. Every time. Come on. Now you guys can actually see what she does when I try to pick her up. Hi, sweet girl. Come here. Come on. Hi. Hi. How are you? How's your Friday? How's your Friday, Angel? Hi. Oh, Lucas. Okay. Very good. I know. Very sweet girl. There we go. There we go. Hello. I'm going to take this off so you don't blow out the speaker and the dog camera with your jingles. There you go. All right. Be free, tiny angel. Be free. All right. There we go. Thank you all so much. And we started like a minute or two late. I kind of pre-planned for that. I just been very, very tired kind of last couple days. Lots of stuff going on. So wanted to give myself a little bit of an extra budget here, just time-wise for getting started. But I'm glad you all can make it. So thank you. She is definitely a very, very happy dog. Fingers crossed, knock on wood, we will not disconnect. So also Friday the 13th. Yes, I don't have anything planned for that. I'm not doing any well, maybe I'll watch a movie or something like later tonight. I'm not planning anything for Friday the 13th. It is Friday the 13th in October. That's like a special, it's like a double whammy of Friday the 13th energy. Definitely. So I don't know, maybe I should do something. Probably won't though. Yes, I'm glad that you like the dog camera. She's not currently in the range of the dog camera, but usually she settles around that back corner. So when that happens, I'll pop it back on. She gets kind of within camera range. So yeah, that is one of the many delightful features about these streams. Oh, thank you. I just got this shirt. It is from Disturbia, one of the brands that I very much enjoy, and it's got it's kind of like a green acid wash situation going on. Green, what can I say? Like lime green and purple, they're my colors. So before we get too far into it today, I will just go over some of the basics. You haven't been here before, I've been here recently. This is an 18 plus only live stream. We ask that you all be adults because this is an adult space to talk about adult subjects like sex and BDSM and kink. We also get into dating, relationships, asexuality, queer issues, pop culture stuff. Some of it is probably fine for like minors to know about and hear about and participate in, but can't always guarantee that. We just try to keep everybody safe here, and that means not having minors listen in and participate in the conversation. We want to make sure everyone is staying on the up and up here, but if you have your 18th birthday and you want to come back, come join us. Also, we do have rules and FAQ down below if you want to check that out. I just updated that a couple months ago. We have links to tons of resources for commonly asked questions, like if you're like, how do I tell my boyfriend I want to do BDSM? Or where can I buy a collar? Or whatever. Like, it's probably down below. Please check it out. Tons of good resources in there. And lots of books, movies, places to go on the internet for more information. So much stuff in there, so helpful. But generally speaking, you can ask about whatever you want. If it's in the FAQ, but it's like something very specific where you're like, well, I want to tell my girlfriend about BDSM, but here's some like extra detail. Always happy to go over it. I feel like the nature of the questions I get asked has really changed over the last, like, I would say definitely the last year, but probably the last 2 years it's changed. Oh, thank you. Andrew says the Fall of the House of Usher is out today. Oh, I didn't know that. That sounds like it's probably a documentary. What is that? Oh, it is a short story by Edgar Allan Poe. I don't know why I assumed it was a it just sounds like I think I got it confused with the House of Hammer documentary name. It sounds very familiar to that. Oh, okay. Thank you. I don't watch a ton of horror stuff, but if it's Edgar Allan Poe-esque or inspired, I'll probably like it more than maybe the more traditional, slasher, is there a word for the horror genre where it's a bunch of like women being killed and they're always like dressed like cheerleaders from a from a pornography. Yeah. Adding the article in that sentence really made that awkward. But like where it's kind of exploitative, but it's also horror. Like it's supposed to be sexy, but also it's horror. Like I have to imagine it led to a lot of confusing feelings, especially when that was first coming out as a genre. But basically what we do here in the live stream is we ask and answer questions, and we have many wonderful people in our community that also contribute to answering questions, which is amazing. I answer questions, but also people in the chat do. And as you guys got to see, we do also have a new little feature, which is you can use super chats to promote your message, your question, and then it'll appear on screen, and then I will prioritize answering your question. Now, it needs be remarked that if you use a super chat, you cannot use that as a way to get around my certain boundaries on things that I don't talk about. So if you want to ask me a question about like, what's your home address, or I don't know, something like super personal about me or whatever, like don't go there with that. That won't work. But it does promote your question at the top of the order. Otherwise, I go in order during the stream. So asking early is usually best. Just don't spam the chat, be polite. And then really the only other big thing that's off limits other than like very personal stuff about me would just be like medical and mental health advice. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a therapist. If you're wondering about like, how can I do BDSM safely as somebody with bipolar disorder, I'm not equipped professionally to be able to answer that. So just keep that in mind. I will direct you to other resources that just come up for some reason. And, I can't tell you over the internet if your bruise is healing properly or not. So, but telehealth is a wonderful thing. So we do have more options now than just going into a doctor's office. Not horror porn. I'm talking about like when it's actually a movie, not when it's like pornography specifically. I'm really shouldn't be saying porn this much. So we're really into this stream. I'm like, I don't have these monetized, but at the same time, I'm like, could this make YouTube mad if I say porn this much? What? It's already happened. I can't undo it. So, oh well. Yeah, exactly. I luckily, as far as I'm aware, have not doxed myself during a live stream yet, which apparently for some people is a very difficult accomplishment to have not done. Like, there's a lot of streamers who, like, they order stuff from DoorDash during the stream, and then suddenly their address is out there, or their phone number, and it's like, oh my god, couldn't be me. Mike Flanagan's last Netflix special. Okay, I will, I seem to have found the trailer on YouTube, so I'll have to check that out. Looks like it has like 90% on Rotten Tomatoes. More mixed reviews for IMDb, but I feel like horror movies, you gotta kind of always take whatever the rating is and add like an extra, like if it's a 7 out of 10, add like an extra point to that, and that's probably more accurately what it's like. Maybe even 2. I feel like most horror movies, even the good ones, are like usually a 4 to a 7 because people are like, this movie made me scared and I don't like it. It's like, wait, this isn't the feeling you wanted to experience while watching this? But some people have strong opinions about horror movies, I guess. They're B movies. Oh, wow. Thank you, Locane. Hello from a Seattle bar with outdoor seating. My hot apple cider has whiskey in it. Oh, be careful with that. Those will get you. They sneak up on you. I'm currently having lime watermelon aha. I normally just drink water, but we've been trying to use these up in the house, and I was like, I could have one. I can contribute to the cause. We've decided that there's going to be no more sparkly, shouty fruit water, so which I'm happy about because it takes up way too much room in the fridge, but that's my opinion. Some people do rate them bad just because they don't like horror. That's definitely true. Movie recommendation, Deliver Us from Evil. That was so good. I feel like I've heard that name a lot for horror movies, definitely. Absolutely, with horror, you just have to be nicer with the rating because they aren't viewed as intellectual, which is like, I feel like there's a lot of movies that are in the horror genre that are really influential, right? Like, I guess maybe what's the line between horror and thriller? Because I'm much more of like a thriller person than I think straight up horror. So I'm trying to think, I'm like, well, I guess I don't really know necessarily the names of certain movies, but I mean, what was really popular when I was like coming into my adulthood was like Insidious was really popular. There was Final Destination, like the first one had come out, and then there were the ones that people remember the movies that they were like, it was like, usually it was like in somebody's house, and that maybe that was Insidious, where it's in somebody's house and it's like sort of a self-film thing. Usually it's like footage of somebody like having a camera on while they're sleeping, and then like every once in a while you see something in the background and it's like there's, you know, the pots and pans move in the kitchen, like those movies. So there were like 2 or 3 of them that came out like pretty close together that were really, really popular. My soda addiction seems to have no cure. I mean, definitely like having the sparkling water helps a lot of people cut down, but it's not sweet. I think it's more the carbonation that people are helped out by. But if you want something sweet, I feel like you don't really have any other option. I mean, like you have Gatorade or like fruit punch or something, I guess, but it's not really the same thing. Mike Flanagan stuff is usually psychological. Yeah, that's definitely much more my alley. I definitely much prefer the psychological over the more like the thing that would be my least favorite horror movie to watch would be like Human Centipede. Like that's, I know, like I would love to know if you're somebody who really loves those like body horror type movies where it's like somebody getting overtaken by a fungus or transforming into a bug, or like Human Centipede or whatever, where like it's just like gross out body horror. Like, why do you enjoy that? Because I have not really heard anyone explain it before, because that's like, I can't do it. No, I could not. That would be actual torture for me. If it's like psychological, like demonic possession, poltergeist type stuff, then like I can roll with that. But if it's like your body being eaten from the inside out by like some kind of evil evil mushroom, I can't do it. I can't do it. In Insidious, there was a demon after the soul of a boy in a coma. Yes, I do remember the plot of Insidious. I just remember what the other movies were called, where it was like the filming, because I can see how like they're related, but yeah. How do you super chat? If you want to use the super chat, if you're in the YouTube chat, you will see a little $ icon underneath the place where you can type in your message. You click on that and it'll do that. There's also a link down below you can use that goes to Streamlabs. They both do the same thing. They both highlight your comments. The only thing that's different about it is when you are looking at the super chat feature, YouTube does take 30% of whatever you put in, just because YouTube is literally running a racket, whereas everything from a Streamlabs donation goes directly to me. And it's, you know, I just feel like, why do you want to pay YouTube? Why would you want to pay YouTube more than you already do with ad revenue? It just doesn't make any sense to me. You guys already have to watch ads or pay for premium. Don't bother putting even more money into Google's pocket. That's my opinion. Human Centipede is so scary because if it happened to you, it would be horrific. Yeah, I get that. The Human Centipede was much more enjoyable than the Human Centipede. Yeah, is it just because it's so much scarier? Is it just that, like, the body horror is so horrible that makes it so much more intense to watch? Because it's like, oh, this is so horrible and it's so bad that like it makes me feel so scared, and I enjoy that feeling of being scared so much that like I like the intensity of it, you know? Not actually that the concept of it is like interesting or good, but just like how the feeling it gives you is so much bigger. I think some people enjoy that feeling of disgust or know enough about effects work to be impressed. Oh, sure. Like, I guess you can consciously think about the fact that, like, this is a production and it's not really happening in real life. But also the idea is, like, it could kind of happen, though, especially when it's, like, some evil fucking guy locks you in a room, makes you do terrible stuff to your own body. Like, theoretically, though it would be quite quite rare to happen. You could get kidnapped by somebody that would be insane enough to lock you in a room and be like, all right, today you're gonna have to chop off your own pinky and then eat it, and like, you know, and if you don't do it, I'm gonna kill you. Like, that could happen, but it's a very, very far removed possibility. So do you really have to worry about it? Not as much. Ha! YouTube is the streamer's version of a pet scorpion. I don't even know. Like, it's a pet scorpion that hits you up for money. It's a pet scorpion that's like, all right, pay up or you're going to get the stinger, you know? Are super chats tax deductible? No. Although I do wonder, I think if you have a charity live stream, I think there is a way to set it up to where the donations go directly to a charitable organization, and so that then is tax deductible. I'm sure bigger brained people have worked that out. I just feel like Human Centipede was like a big cultural moment for horror movies. Like, I feel like it took everyone's imagination and just captured it. Like, everyone was so horrified by it. I don't know if I'd recommend watching. I'm not sure if the actual quality of the movie is there compared to just the disgust level of the premise.
Rosie Rosette donated $5.
Thank you, Rosie. So Rosie
my sex friend and I were talking, and I was disappointed that sex friend is not a relationship option on FetLife.
Oh, it's actually
he said that it was because it's just a weird phrase I use. But I feel like other people use it too.
My sex friend and I were talking, and I was disappointed that sex friend is not a relationship option on FetLife. He said that it was because it's just a weird phrase I use, but I feel like other people use it too. What do you think? There is an account I follow on Instagram that I want to say it's ran by a sex therapist, but they use the word buddy. They say like, use your buddy or your pal, like you and your sex pal. So I definitely have heard versions of that phrase before. I haven't literally heard sex friend, I don't think, but I don't think it's common enough. But to be fair, at this point, the creator / still head runner of FetLife is a guy named John Baku, I think. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, or that even is his last name. I have no idea, but John. There was a glut of name suggestions on FetLife for roles on FetLife. So, like, you know, before it would be like Dom, Dominant, Sub, whatever, like that whole, like, kind of more mainstream list. But then all of a sudden they just opened the floodgates and they were like, all right, whatever suggestions you guys have, we're open to it. And if we like the idea, we'll just make it a role on FetLife. So they added, like, dozens, probably. I'd say probably 30 maybe new roles at least. I haven't actually tallied up the ones that are completely new. But that's sort of interesting because for a while there, like for years, like for the first, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 years I was on FetLife, there was just the same thing all the time. Nothing really changed. There was nothing new added. It was very, like, they would maybe have a new feature every once in a while, but last year they've, maybe it's because they've been seeing a decline in their user base or something, and they're really trying to elevate the website. I don't know what's going on there, but for the most part, previously it had been a lot of like removal of like certain types of content and things like that, but now they're really trying to improve the website, and so they added a bunch of new roles. I want to say they may have also added some relationship types as well, but I haven't looked at that enough to be able to tell for sure if anything new has been added. But if you're looking for an alternative on FetLife, I feel like the word lover would be kind of similar, but then also it's like if you're platonic and not romantic, then lover is kind of like the direct opposite of just like a friend. I mean, play partners I think is usually on there. I think play partners would probably be like the other closest option if that's on there, but that would be what I would look for. Bro, what isn't a role option on FetLife anymore? If you submit it, they'll probably add it. True. So yeah, if you ask them to be like, I want sex friend to be, I want to be able to say I'm sex friends with blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm actually surprised because there are definitely people who, like hook up casually and are in casual relationships or like in sex only relationships with people. But I don't know if there is really a role to reflect that, which is certainly a choice. Although I guess at the same time, FetLife isn't trying, well, despite their best efforts, a lot of people do use the website in an attempt to get to hookups and other various sexual things that are vanilla as opposed to kinky. So I think if they're doing it because they don't want to water down the website and make it seem vanilla, then like that's probably not really gonna work. But then also even like undecided and vanilla are also like role options on FetLife. So like, you know, there's options there. Oh, I call him my sex friend because I talk about all my sex stuff with him. Oh, sure. Yeah, like yeah, sort of a, I haven't watched Sex in the City, but like sort of like that, where it's like, you just chat about what's going on. Yeah, sure. I mean, I can just go on FetLife and I can just look. So why don't I just do that? Let's go to FetLife. It'd be very interesting to see. I don't think they've really made any big changes, but now you've got me curious, and I just have to Google it. All right, let's look here. Let's see relationships. Let's see role. I mean, there's everything now, right? Just ma'am. This ma'am is a role. Deity, worshiper. I mean, there's all different DS relationships. Oh, so there's now 50 different types of masochist. There's smartass sadist. Oh, that's just a sadist. There's masochist, emotional masochist, service masochist, smartass masochist, dominant masochist, submissive masochist, sadomasochist, emotional sadomasochist, service sadomasochist, and smartass sadomasochist. So, if you've been wondering about that, Jesus Christ. There's even pincushion, which is, I remember when somebody requested that one for needle play stuff. Like there's a foot slut if you've got a foot fetish. So for wax play, I think I saw in here too. Maybe goblin king. Oh my god, I love it. You can be a goblin king. Be a villain, witch, creature, succubus, incubus, teasing, tease, temptress, femme fatale. Love it. Artist, muse, kept, and keeper. I love it. I like kept. That's cute. That's a cute one. Anyways, those are like DS roles. That's not really like relationships. Let's see. What do I have for relationships? Friends with benefits. The benefits of talking about your sex life, I guess. It's complicated. There's crushing on, which is interesting because usually crushes are unrequited or they move in a different direction. So, interesting. Crushing. It's complicated. Situationship. Oh, there's just intimate. There's just intimate. You can just say you're intimate with somebody. I like that one. Anchor partner, nesting partner. Polycurious. Twin flame. Soulmate. Queer platonic partner. Oh, platonic partner. If you guys aren't sexual, that could be one. Life partner. Yeah. Interesting. Situationship. That's also on like Facebook, or is that it's complicated? One of those is on Facebook too, and it's like anytime you see that, like it's so public. Why would you say you're in a complicated relationship in public with all your fucking family and everyone able to see that? Why would you do that? I don't know. Oh, good stuff. Good stuff. All right, well now we know more. Yeah, Goblin King. Goblin King reminds me of the Rat King from Christmas Stories Nutcracker Group. Oh my god, I actually was thinking of a Labyrinth, but that works too. I'm imagining that's a Labyrinth thing for people that are into, and there's a lot of people have a Labyrinth kink, and that's kind of their kinky inspiration. Have you heard of the manga Nanatokoro? It's about two friends who practice BDSM together without romance. Both are in love but can't say. Okay, I have heard of Nanatokoro. I haven't read it yet. I know a lot of people have highly recommended it. I haven't actually read it yet. Is there an anime for it? I don't know. But I am aware of it. I do find it very interesting that it's like, well, they practice it without romance, but then also if there's like this unrequited love, but they can't say they're in love. Like, I just feel like there is still romance there. It's just not spoken about, which is a little bit different than people who are genuinely just friends doing kink together. But yeah, have fun in your bakery. Fluid bonded sex is highly overrated. I mean, I think we're in agreement on that one for sure. But yeah, I haven't read Nana Tokoro yet. It seems like it's good, but haven't gotten around to it at this point. But it does come highly recommended from many folks. So, all right. Is there a dominant brat? Oh, let me look, actually. That's a great question. I mean, honestly, you could just be a dominant and say you're a brat, but it is worth specifying sometimes. Let me see. Because I know for sure brat is in here. But fuck them. They don't put anything in alphabetical order. So you have to, like, kind of manually scan with your eyeballs. Not really. Yeah, there's no way for me to just, like, search brat. Okay, see, they really, if they're gonna do this, they gotta put it in alphabetical order or some shit. Because I can't, like, things are in, like, the food slut is directly next to the needle stuff, and that doesn't make any sense. And then there's all the latex is next to tickling, and, like, it doesn't make any sense. Okay, I know for sure that just regular brat is on here. But they have to. Okay, so there's service brat, brat handler, brat tamer, and brat wrangler. Maybe there's some deviations on just dom. Because there are some bratty tops. Like, bratty top or bratty. Like, listen, if we're going to make pincushion and bondmaid, we're going to turn those into whole relationship choices, which I do worry about a little bit, kind of giving people the impression that these are, like, super common terms in the BDSM community. Like, why not just let people kind of type out whatever they want, you know? Why not just let people have that be a thing? Like, there's, like, little bitches one as well, which I think is kind of funny, actually. I could see, like a professional dominant just having 10 people that are all their little bitch. Oh, that would be funny. But no, that seems to be about it for brat options. I'm sorry to report. Definitely. But also, they spell daddy dom as one word, which I find interesting. I think they literally just copied and pasted whatever people suggested. Because otter is on there. Duck. Listen, if duck is on there, bratty top needs to be on there. Okay? Bratty top needs to be on there. Otherwise, this whole website just isn't worth using anymore. No, I'm kidding. No, that would be too far, I think. What's a bondmaid? Okay, I feel like maybe, it basically is like another way of saying a type of, like, female servant. I want to say it's connected to, like, indentured servitude, possibly. Yeah, so, I mean, a bondmaid is a domestic worker who has been bonded, meaning they have been hired under a contract that guarantees their labor and behavior. And then other people are indicating, like, other definitions say that it's basically a form of slavery, or a woman who's bound to perform domestic labor without a guarantee of wages. Also, apparently, there is a book called The Bondmaid. So, you know, there's a whole Wikipedia page for it. And now it just links to serfdom, which is different, so. All right, so that's what that is. I want to say that there is, okay, I know that this has to be something with, like, gore. Like, I know that it's not the same thing as Kajira or, like, other terms. I feel like there's something in here related to like, the Second Life stuff, or, like, bondmaid, like, being a different way of saying something about, like, the Planet of Gore novels. I mean, there are definitely some books with some very choice covers that are named things like The Bondmaid Doctrine. Honestly, if you guys want to, like, be very confused, I recommend searching the term bondmaid and then going to Google Images. There's something that seems to be like pictures from some kind of, like, Roman reenactment thing involving people in chains. There's some very interesting self-published erotic fiction. There's some Second Life stuff, or some Second Life. Oh my goodness. Yep. And then there's some magazine covers, like some, I don't know if those are real magazine covers or what, but yeah, there's bondmaids in the city. It looks very much inspired by the plan. Simon Grail is this guy. Who is this Simon? Okay, who the fuck is Simon Grail, and why is he writing these stories about bondmaids? Is this like a recent thing? Okay, he's not big enough to have a Wikipedia page, so. Good lord, this man is prolific. He has written, he has a book that's just called The Hot Potato. This is a man who knows what's erotic. The Hot Potato. Lab rat women, Jesus. These are very tasteful covers, I have to say. They're not tasteful at all. The Hot Potato, I'll have you know, was published in 2017, but these definitely have the flavor of 90s erotica, like 90s Harlequin romance. Oh, goodness. Wow. Gore is unreadable. I've been told that. I've been told it's not worth getting into. It's fine for the time. Oh, thank you for your super chat. Wanted to let you know that your videos have really helped me explain kink to my vanilla friends. First time I've had friends I didn't have to hide from. That is so wonderful, Andrew. I am so glad to hear that. Genuinely. I know for me, getting into the kink community was a huge switch in my social life. Like growing up, I was not somebody that had a lot of friends. I moved a lot as a kid, so it was very hard for me to maintain friendships, especially because I'm old enough now to where, like, even Facebook and stuff wasn't really around so much when I was younger, and it was hard to, maintain contact with people directly, moving so much all the time. But it really made a difference to me to be part of the kink community.
Rosie Rosette donated $5.
I wrote you letters.
Also, I wrote you 2 letters.
I have not checked my P.O. box in a little bit, but I will make sure to do that soon. Because usually I do it kind of like, basically whenever I get something there that I know to go get. Like if it's like, I usually go like once every couple months otherwise. Because it's like, it's pretty far away from where I live, so I don't like get out there all the time. But I will check for it. Also, I love getting letters. I keep, if somebody writes me a letter or something, I have a big box. There's like a keepsake box that I keep all of my letters and stuff in I got from people, and like postcards and things too. So if you want to do that, do have a P.O. box. It is the P.O. box address is in the description at the very bottom of all of my live streams. So, or not live streams, my just regular videos. So, why don't you go to that? You can do that. But yeah, definitely, having the kink community, I didn't know before I got into the kink community how much of a difference it would make in my social life. Like, I didn't necessarily, like, struggle to, like, keep friends or anything, but I didn't feel like I could always necessarily be my whole self around people that I was around socially. Like, my first year or two in college, I felt really awkward. I didn't get along with other people. Like, I just felt like something was missing, but I didn't really know what it was. And then as soon as I got into the kink community, I had all these people who wanted to hang out at the time and talk to me, be my friend. And I never really had that before. And the kink community, and even if it's not people who are kinky, but like are aware of kink and are comfortable being around it, I think if you are somebody who's kinky, oh, almost dropped it. It can change your life. I'm very glad I didn't spill this on myself. That would be something else. I know you won't be able to read it, but is it cool if I send you a letter in Braille? Please do. If you want to send me a letter, I can probably have a partner write the print translation. That would be unbelievably meaningful. If you wanted to send me a letter in Braille and then have a translation for it, it will be right on the top of my keepsake letter pile. I love it. That's so brilliant. Okay. We have not gotten to any questions, so I will try to get to some questions. Oh, okay. Well, let's do some looking. It is a great Friday, and Bandit Camp is back. Go for it, Bandit. It's true. I would actually try and rotate her a little bit here, so she'll be more on camera. Hi, my sweet angel. Hello. Come here. I know we need more snuggles. I know. I was out running errands for so long today. Come here. Little doggo. Hi. Hi, baby. You want to say hello to people? Alright. I release thee to the other side of the room. May you now be visible on camera in the range that you choose to be in. There you go. I know. What did I do? I just moved you, huh? Alright. You just lay right back down. There you go. Sweet girl. All right, give me a second. I'm going to adjust the Bandit camera. I think I just got a super chat. Most universities have kink clubs for dominant submissive students. Most do. I mean, it has been a while since I've been to college at this point. I started to feel old about it because I was like, I graduated that many years ago. Does not feel like it's been that long. I feel like I just graduated like 2 years ago, honestly. But when I was in school, what did we have? I know that I've heard Harvard has a kink club. I am not sure about like maybe just really, really big schools. My school didn't have one. We at least has like a sanctioned school club. We did have like an LGBT resource center, and they would do events sometimes for like information about like sex and sexuality and like condoms and consent and things like that, which was all really, really good to have, but not anything like explicitly super kinky. But I would be curious, like maybe that's changed in the last couple of years, but I don't even know if it's for dominant submissives just how much it is like, people that are curious about kink and BDSM as a lifestyle or like aspect of expressing their sexual orientation. But when I was in school, we had the closest thing to that is we had a TNG group, which stands for the next generation. And that is basically a student, well, not even really a student, but it was made for people on campus, people who didn't go to school there or graduated since then, still attended. And it was a TNG group that is for people 18 to 35. And we would meet on campus in one of the like study coffee areas. Like it was like this, it wasn't part of the library, but it was a study hall area that was attached to a coffee shop on campus. And we would meet there, and it was kind of small actually, even for the size of the school I went to. Like the munches I went to that were just like general ones in the big city were much more attended than this one was. This one was probably like, it was usually like 5 or 6 people. And we would all just like get coffee together and chat and hang out. But it wasn't like a student organization that was registered with the school. It was just like, hey, people in the area that are TNG age, we meet here at this time and come hang out. And yeah, I really liked it. I thought it was a good introduction. And then I kind of went from there into going to more of the more open munches outside of the main campus area where I lived, and it's been that way ever since. I feel like it would be weird now if I was going to a TNG event on a college campus, even if I lived in a college town. That feels like that would be kind of weird. I mean, maybe you just don't want to be around 18-year-olds. I don't know. When I was in college, it wasn't a thing. I was mainly in philosophy club and art club, though. Yeah. What are philosophy club meetings like? I feel like that would either be fun or like unbearable, because I feel like maybe the personalities that are sometimes attracted to philosophy club would be like, I don't know, debate lord fans, like people that are really, really into politics on Twitch, people like that, horrible, the worst. Not really though, obviously. One of our college LGBTQ clubs would have a sex/kink night with the university's resident sexpert. Oh, that's an official title? It was always a huge thing. Oh, interesting. Was it like a demo, like an educational thing, or like what? Because that's interesting. Again, I want your classmates to know about it. I know even when I had a FetLife account and I was still living in the college town that I was in, I would definitely, there were definitely people on FetLife that would be like, oh my god, I recognize you from my math class. And like, they would recognize, I remember you from this class. And they'd be like, I know you were kinky and I always had a crush on you. And I was like, like, kind of a little freaky at first, being like, I don't know who you are because I can't tell from your profile photo, but I also always sat in the front, so I didn't really see a lot of people. Oh, we were mainly about bioethics because it was a vet school. I mean, that feels like that's probably important for sure. Doing important work. You're basically a doctor to like so many different animals if you become a vet. Like that's hard. Being a vet is definitely very difficult. Definitely very adorable. I'm sick, but that means I'm not at work and can catch this live. Well, I am glad that you can catch it live, Andrew. I'm sorry about being sick. Hopefully it's nothing too serious and you get to enjoy your weekend. Oh, the sure Evie. Oh, thank you. Good evening. I really liked your video on tickle torture. It was impressive. My name is Victor and I'm from, I don't know what that, Montpellier in France. I don't know how to pronounce anything French. If there is, I cannot think of a language that would be more difficult for me to know how to pronounce than French. It just doesn't work with my brain. But welcome. I'm glad that you enjoyed it. Do we have a name for that other camera? Maybe Bandicam? Normally I just call it the Bandit camera. We can call it the Bandicam though. I like that. It's like Bandicoot, like Crash Bandicoot. I love it. It's very cute. If it was a Q&A session where people, it was a Q&A session where people could submit anonymous questions about sex or kink for someone with a doctorate in the subject to answer. Oh, that's great. I feel like that must have a very positive impact on people, especially, you know, depending where you're coming from high school or even homeschooling potentially, like you might not have very much sex ed at all. So good to have professional resources on that. I worry now because I feel like with today's political climate, the way that would go is like the left communist professors are indoctrinating our students by teaching them about how to have anal sex. Like, just imagine the moral outrage on like some conservative news network about they devote like an entire hour-long segment to being like, on the grounds of Ohio State University there lies a campus club with an innocuous name, but did you know that in this club professors, adults are teaching your children about how to have anal and do pegging? Like, oh god, they would just get so mad about it. You can see it now, but it's like they're in college, they're adults, like, so what if they want to learn about anal sex? They probably should be able to if they want to. Do you ever just feel the need to poke your dog to make sure that she's real and that she's fluffy? Yes, I do. Sometimes I poke her because I'm like, you've been still for a really long time. Are you okay? And then she always looks at me like, what are you doing, human? And sometimes I just talk to her and I see it, that she wags her tail. Hi, girl. Hi, girl. Hi, I see that tail going. And she just wags her tail a little bit because I talk to her and I'm like, okay, she's fine. She's good. That's how I check. That's my check-in. Being taught about anal doesn't make me want to do it any more or less. I just end up learning more about it. I mean, but that's not their logic, right? They're like, they treat things like that as like a social contagion where you can catch it. You can catch the desire to do anal or be penetrated or whatever by somebody telling you about it. And it's like, are you telling on yourself with that? Like, are you afraid that if somebody told you about anal, you would immediately go to a gay club? Like, what are we worried about here? Because for most people, that's not how sex and sexuality works, you know? I can actually believe about that being breaking news. I mean, you know, if it's a slow enough news day and they get a juicy enough story about some kind of like on-campus event, it has a salacious name, it has to be like a UC school or like some school that they can deride as like, you know, the seat of liberal brainwashing in academia, you know, something where they can really, you know, make it sound as scary as possible, you know. I'm a little bit more awake now, thank goodness. What does Proboros mean? I don't know. What does that mean? Ouroboros? Oh, that's the from the shirt. Does it say? No, it's an O, which is a very decorative O. So it's like the snake eating its own tail. You guys see that? If you watched Full Metal Alchemist, it's that. So it's that symbol. It's a snake eating its own tail. Very, very popular symbology. It can mean a bunch of different stuff. It's just like the cycle of life and death and destruction and rebirth and all of that good business. So that's what it is for Boros. I don't know why I didn't really know what that was supposed to be about. Hot take, Jason Voorhees is a Nepo baby. Oh, goodness. I do wonder. Maybe that would be something to post on like a horror movie forum if those were still a thing. What advice do you have for a DS couple that just moved in together? Oh, congratulations. Like how to establish routines and balancing life stuff with DS stuff. Okay. I love this question, Audrey. So I have definitely lived with partners before I've had DS relationships with, and it can be a transition to move from having time apart, separate spaces, but really enjoy the time you actively spend together to always being together. And I think initially it can be really amazing because, oh my gosh, my favorite person, they're always there and I get to be with them all the time. And like, I know for me, before I started living with one of my partners, like the first person I ever lived with, like I would cry when I had to go home on the weekends because I just loved being around them so much. And I would be so upset about having to like go far away back to where I lived and like not really being able to see them again until next weekend. But when we got to live together, it just like we got to be around each other so much more. We had, this was like before COVID, and so we had time to be apart because like I obviously worked from home, and then they had a job where they still got to go into an office, and so like, we did have a time apart during the day. And I think that's really helpful to have. If you are both working from home and living together, I feel like that could be more challenging to have it not feel super monotonous, especially depending on like how much space you guys have to each other versus shared space. Some people it's fine and they're like, they want to be together all the time. They want to share a bedroom. They want to share an office. They want to have lunch together every day. They want to have dinner together every day. They get up together at the same time every morning. They do it together all day, every day. That's like what happiness is for them. I'm not one of those people. I like having my separate space, my separate area. I think that just helps me to enjoy the active time together more. But just that's sort of like my background and my sort of perspective on it. Maybe there's something helpful in there for you. But really, I think if what you want to do is you want to help get established with a routine and balancing life stuff, I think, you know, that first like initial week or 2 weeks, I'd probably have it be fairly bare bones, because especially if you're both moving in together, like if you're moving from being separate into a new joint place together and you're unpacking, you're organizing, you're setting up furniture, you're getting the cable worked out, the internet, all of that stuff, you know, there's going to be some flux time happening. And I think it's good to just like have grace with that and not really worry about trying to make that like super active, amazing DS time. But it's a little bit different if you're like moving into a house with somebody where they already live and you're just like, you're going to get this bedroom, or like we're making room for you in the shared office space or something, where you're going from like, you're not both moving in. There's a little bit more of like, you know, you don't have to worry about little things like the, you know, damage deposit or getting renter's insurance set up or whatever it is. And that makes it a little bit easier. But, you know, certainly within trying to get a routine established, I think, I don't know if you guys have had a routine prior to this and like how that worked for you. Like if you kind of did it more long distance and now you're doing it in person, I would keep just going with whatever basic routines you have initially, and then trying to see how you can make them work differently, having them be together in person. So let's say that you had a rule previously where, you know, you lived apart, you lived separately, and you had to take a picture of like all of your meals and like send it to your partner. But now you live together, and so now you're sharing breakfast together. So how do you make that mindful shared time in a DS relationship? Also, thank you, Sky. I am so grateful for your content. I have come to really enjoy your views on things as we seem to have a lot of similar opinions and experiences. You are so welcome, Sky. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Thank you for your super chat. But to get back to Audrey's question, yeah, kind of sort of take your existing routines and rules, see what you can keep while you're together, living together in person, and then maybe what needs to change or what you want to have add on that you didn't have time to before. And then just kind of gradually add stuff on the same way you probably did earlier in your relationship when you didn't live together. In terms of doing stuff in purpose, when you have a better solid sense of what your day-to-day routine is going to be like in terms of like, when do we wake up in the morning? Who makes breakfast? Do you have pets you have to take care of? Do you shower in the morning or in the evening? Do you shower at the same time or together? Like, figure out what that rhythm of life is for both of you. And then, like, you know, maybe you used to shower in the evening and your partner showers in the morning, but now you shower in the morning together. You know, there are things you can make compromises around to have that be more like mindful together time. And just like, you can have it be really super simple stuff, right? In terms of like, I really enjoy more domestic stuff in my DS relationships, like, you know, the laundry and the house cleaning and the dishes and meal prepping and all of that. I enjoy doing all of that for my partners. So I would probably want to move into maybe doing more stuff like that, but maybe that's not really for you. Maybe you want to have more stuff where it's like, my partner lays out my outfit for me. Like maybe they wake up an hour earlier before I do, and even though they're the dominant, they start my breakfast for me, and then they lay out my outfit for me. Or vice versa. Maybe you're a service submissive, and you're the one who wakes up an hour early, and you start the breakfast, and you lay out the clothes, and get the lunch pail packed, and all of that business. So there's really lots of different ways you can do it to flavor it. I think the main thing is maybe even more than just like establishing a routine. I mean, for that, right, you could have something, you could have like a whiteboard on your fridge. You could have like a calendar set up somewhere. You can have, you know, a shared app on your phone that you do something with. There's tons of options for having that routine established. I personally find like something with paper to be really helpful. Like I have these, let me just, yeah, these don't have anything important on. I get these like Post-it note, like to-do list pads, and I really enjoy these. These are from, fuck, I can't remember what the name of this brand is, but they're really cute. Does this have like the branding on it somewhere? Of course it doesn't. I'm not going to be able to recommend to y'all what this, I want to say it's Unicorn Eclipse is the name of the brand. Don't quote me. It's something Eclipse. I'm almost 100% positive, but they make very cute different seasonal notepads, and there's like, you can see on this one just like a blank grid, and this one's got like check mark boxes by, I think these are really helpful. You can just like have this around your house, right? Like I have one here too this is like a little mini to-do list. You could have your dominant partner like just write out a little to-do list on a Post-it note for you every morning and just like stick it on your lunch pail, on the fridge, on your side of the mirror in the bathroom, whatever it is, just so you kind of know, okay, today these are my expectations for my dominant partner I need to get finished. Super simple. Not a lot of maintenance, easy to do in like 5 minutes. You could do it the night before even if you want to pre-plan stuff. So lots and lots of ways to take care of doing stuff like this if you want to have more of a routine. And then finally, I would say for just warding off the monotony. I think it depends on what your goal is. I think for some people, the goal in their DS relationship is they want it to become something in the background that's monotonous and very natural, where like this is the rhythm of our daily life. You know, I wake up, I start the breakfast, he picks out my outfit, I change into it, I kneel for him, I say thank you to him for being my dominant partner, you know, I pack his lunch, send him out the door, give him a kiss, and then I start doing the household chores and the yada yada, right? You get the whole sense of the routine of the day. And that doesn't ever really get deviated from, and it becomes very normal and common, and like, you know, you're wearing a collar, but that's very normal and like kind of, you know, mundane at this point. Like some people want that. They want that feeling of like, this is just how my life is. And I think I am not really so much that person. There are certain aspects of that I can enjoy, but I have aspirations for something different. Like I personally get a lot more enjoyment out of being able to, you know, have something that feels intentional and purposeful every day. And I think for that, you have to sort of maintain this sense of wonder and intrigue with what it is that you're doing, like, it's easy to kind of have just, you know, take it for granted. And then, like, I think really, honestly, what causes a lot of the degradation, especially in, like, live-in DS relationships, which are, like, most people's dream to be able to achieve, the way that tends to go by the wayside is both sides, but especially the dominant partner, letting go of their obligations in the relationship. Like, not staying on top of rewards and punishments, not staying on top of rules or to-do lists or monitoring certain things. Or, like, if you have a rule as a submissive that you are supposed to have a multivitamin every day, but then your partner never checks if you've actually taken the multivitamin or not, how are you supposed, like, that you can't, that's not really sustaining anything. You're not really, like, you can keep taking the vitamin all you want as the submissive, regardless of if your partner is checking it or not, but that maintenance isn't being tended to. And I think for some people that's fine, and they're kind of willing to be that self-starting and kind of allowing their partner to decide to take active control when they feel like it. But I think for most people, they want their partner to be as actively invested in the relationship, in the DS, as they are. And if one side is not fulfilling that, that's when things start to break down. And that could be on the submissive side as well. I don't want to make it just sound like dominants dropped the ball and it's all their fault. Like, it goes both ways. Like, submissives can also definitely feel like, you know, but I already do all of this, and why are you expecting me to do this and that? I have so much I already have to do. And, like, they don't really want to, you know, they like the fantasy of the DS, but the expectations and the consistency of a regular DS relationship they don't necessarily want. Or having children. Yep, absolutely. Everything about our dynamic changed after I had our son. We had to take a break and rework everything again later. Yes. I think that's probably the best way to do it. I think you know, some people I know have had kids and, like, maintained their DS relationship through that. Most people I know in DS relationships that have been continual, it's been because they've gotten together much later in life and they've had a DS relationship the entire time they've been together, getting started after a second marriage or a divorce or what have you, and they, you know, they had a second lifelong relationship that didn't end up having kids in it. But if you do have kids, or, like, that's down the pipeline, I think trying to include a DS relationship on top of embarking on the brand new journey of creating a human, that's probably not necessarily going to work out. Some people manage it, especially if they have other adults around that can help in the childcare part of it, but it's just, you never know. Like, having kids happen when they want to happen, and they, like, kids do not always follow your plans, and that's something that a dominant partner has to keep in mind. You don't have control over your, you know, baby's sleeping pattern, eating pattern, like, especially the first couple weeks. Like, baby's gonna baby, and you gotta deal with that as it comes, as you're getting into, you know, like, some people do, like, I'm not a parent, so I don't really know a whole lot about this, but I know some people do, like, sleep training, and they do, like, routines and stuff for a baby, and, like, you know, don't think that you can just do that and have it work 100% from the start, you know, because, like, you don't know how parent life is really going to affect you until you're in it. And I know some people that have been very conscious about having kids and, like, not wanting to become only a parent, right? Like, they want to maintain their individual sense of identity as a human, as an adult, without only ever just being, like, so-and-so's mom or dad, right? So I think if you're mindful about that, that can also help too. But that's sort of not really the main question. That's sort of like a side note. You sometimes tend to lapse into our old vanilla selves for a bit. Yeah, it took us about a year to be able to have time to focus on it again. I mean, yeah, I think it takes time to be able to adjust for that. And, you know, I think there has to be grace and allowance for that. Absolutely. But I was saying that kind of the mindful time away where you're choosing to pause it because you're focusing on other stuff. I think rather than trying to just, like, brute force it, I imagine that kind of helps you be more cognizant of what it is that you enjoyed so much about getting to do all that in the first place. So, not a negative in my book necessarily. This dog should be a crime. How is she that? How are you like that? How are you so fluffy? You can see her little chicken leg from where she had an IV put in from when she went under for her dental surgery thing. And, like, she's so fluffy, and then her leg is like, whoosh, like, the rest of her is, it goes like it's very puffy on both ends, and like chicken leg in between. That is so funny. There's a balance he has between the difficult job of striking between loving husband and dominant master of my life. Yes. Yeah, like for some people, those go hand in hand. And I think for you, it probably is largely the case. But like sort of the ebb and flow between letting the DS relationship be in the lead versus letting the romantic relationship be in the lead, because they don't always go together. Sometimes the romantic option is not the DS option, you know? So, gotta be aware of these things for sure. Definitely a drumstick, absolutely. Okay, so hopefully it helped. And then I guess for balancing live stuff and DS stuff, also, I want to say this. I think one of the things that really helps is if you can have one dedicated day or evening for like, this is our DS time, right? Like you could say Thursday evenings, we're going to have like a DS dinner together. That could be going out to dinner and a show. That could be having dinner in. It could be ordering something out. It could be making food together at home. But we're going to do something together, have basically a regular DS date night, or even have like maybe a weekend once a month or every week where you have committed DS time during that whole day. So that way, even if like work life gets really busy, you're exhausted after work, the last thing that you want to think about doing is, you know, position training for 20 minutes. You have some set aside time in your schedule to where you know you're going to get that mindful DS period without having to like constantly worry in the back of your head about like, we're not really doing DS stuff anymore. Are we even really in a DS relationship anymore? It's been so long since we've done this thing and I used to love it so much. And like, it's very easy to panic, especially if it's a problem of real life or everyday life overtaking the DS life. It feels like, oh my God, I'm not even kinky anymore. Like, what am I doing? But you can, if you have some practice and some time, you can set aside some time to make that's more of a regular occurrence, to where you can tell yourself, okay, I know this week it's been really hard, but in 2 days, you know, we're going to be able to have a DS weekend, and we're going to do this, and we're going to, like, you have something to look forward to as like a common anchor. But within that, I want there to be openness to different experiences, because I think if it's always just like, every single Thursday, we have dinner together at home. Like, I think that can end up also being monotonous. So I think having the intention of just having it be shared time together or a shared meal of some sort allows you to do different things with it, right? Like, maybe we want to just skip dinner. We want to go to like a dessert place and just have cheesecake, you know? We just want to have, you know, coffee and cheesecake at 10 p.m. on a Thursday. Ooh, like, you have time to kind of be fun and spontaneous within that time. And I think that's kind of where that magic happens, is that overlap between consistency and spontaneity, where you reliably have time where you can be spontaneous together in a way that's fun and bonding. Like, I know a lot of DS relationships, they're very serious and they're high protocol, and they've got this whole form, and you got to do this and this, and like, it's very regimented, and some people thrive in that environment. But I think if you're combining a typical sexual, romantic, intimate partnership with a DS relationship, for both relationship types, having fun bonding time together is important, and having set aside time for spontaneity on a regular basis is a really good way to make sure you consistently get that need for fun and bonding met. Absolutely. You want a relationship to be ethically non-monotonous. Yes. Oh, that's a great play on words. I love it. Yeah, she's a favorite at every veterinarian office we've been to. She's always much beloved by the vet techs. She's quiet. She's mild-mannered. Doesn't bother anyone. Just kind of wags her tail and looks around. Just like, what am I doing here? I don't know. She just get a little bit scared at vet offices, but she mostly just wants to hop up on my lap and be like, Mom, what's happening? Why are we here? I don't get it. Like, she gets a little bit scared, but usually very well taken care of. Yeah, that's so real. We try to be spontaneous and romantic within the limits of our protocol. It's actually brought us closer together, but it's not. Oh, sorry, that's two different people. E&M has actually brought us closer together. Yep, I think it's true for a lot of people. If that's like what you're meant to be, like if you are somebody that is better suited for ethical non-monogamy, I think you're more likely to be able to thrive in that. Absolutely. But it's not always perfect. Okay, let me get back to some questions. Okay, give me a second here. We have gone fully off the rails with questions. And then I love it though. I love it. It's great stuff. Okay. Let me see here. Questions. Sleepy Hollow with Tim Burton's overrated? Good to know. My psychiatrist literally had to tell me it couldn't happen for weeks after I watched Human Centipede. Saw it was just freaking awesome. Def, watch it if you're considering it. Okay, I will take that under advisement. I low-key didn't like Human Centipede. Saw is greater than Human Centipede. I mean, I feel like Saw is kind of hard to beat. Isn't that kind of... That's like the common favorite, you know? Like, that's like being into pop music and being like, I like Ariana Grande. Well, maybe not as a person, but musically, liking Ariana Grande. And being like, she has a great voice. It's like, that's not really a controversial take, is it? Oh, no. I'm not gonna read that one. Isn't sex friends synonymous with friends with benefits? I think for some people that's probably true. I think kind of based on, you know, I imagine this came before there were some further clarifications of the person who was mentioning that, but I think for most people, sex friend kind of indicates friends with benefits, but I think in this particular case, sex friend is like the person I'm friends with that I talk to about sex, so... Yeah, I also caught that too. Yeah. Fairy Kink Mother. I remember seeing that one being suggested also. That was like a very, very interesting one. They added that for sure. Hookups are overrated. I agree on that. I've never really done a hookup before. But there's nothing about that would be appealing to me. I've gotten like kind of close to a situation like that, and then I was just like, nope, because I knew it wasn't going to be for me. Yeah. In fairness to FetLife, I've known people who use Twitter, Discord, Facebook, Insta, and Snapchat for hookups. There's really no stopping it. That's true. I mean, imagine using Snapchat for hookups. Have to be some kind of, what's going on here? Or Twitter, using Twitter for hookups? That is certainly a choice. Because how do you don't even, like, there's not like a way to search for people generally by geography. So you're not even near you. How do you even do that? Lord. Oh, you're so welcome. Thank you. I thank you for helping me along my journey. You are very welcome. Deity is a bit much. I think that's kind of an attempt at making a gender neutral version of goddess or god. Because like goddess is like a fairly popular title with female dominance. I think, you know, it's a little bit over the top for a lot of people's DS, but not gonna yuck anybody's yum. There's not possum. I didn't see possum. Otter I did see though. What was the other one? We saw Duck. I think Duck was on there, which is fucking funny. Just like, I want to know, who's a duck player? Who does duck pet play? I want to know what that's like. You just swimming around in like a little kiddie pool in the backyard. That has to be funny. Causing chaos is my form of self-care. Brat, me, never. Spoken like a brat. Labyrinth kink like a kink for Jareth? Yes. People are horny for Jareth. Lesbians love Jareth. Straight women love Jareth. Asexual people love Jareth. I feel like Jareth is like a pansexual icon, really. You just got a new puppy 2 days ago. She's an Australian Shepherd. Oh, that's so cute. Good luck getting through the puppy phase. I think I'm pretty firmly converted to the getting adult dogs life. I think that is that's the way I'm gonna go from now on. I don't know, having watched my family members gone through puppies numerous times, I'm like, I don't really think I want to do that again. I think it is like getting an adult dog. It seems to be much more manageable. Especially because I like smaller dogs and they usually live a pretty long life, so, you know, knock on wood. But I don't think I could do the puppy thing again. A brat who's a power bottom? I don't even think power bottom was on there either. Either as a relationship or as a role. Oversight, probably. Why am I being told to listen to Calm Town? I know about the Come Town podcast. I don't think I've ever actually listened to it before. Am I missing out on something? Or is it just like a random person who's like deciding to spam about that for no reason? I really wish YouTube had the feature that Twitch has where you can look at somebody's username and like click over them and you can see their chat history. I don't know why they didn't just steal that from Twitch, because that's like a very useful feature for being like, is this person a troll or are they just confused? Oh, we're talking about Labyrinth. So many people, I'm sure, had their sexual awakening to Labyrinth, that's for sure. I always call myself a tamer. I've never heard of Wrangler, but I feel that speaks to me. I feel like Brat Wrangler there's something about it that seems non-monogamous-y. Like, it's like, oh, I don't just have one brat that I'm taming. I have to wrangle brats because I have so many of them. Or maybe you don't want to tame them. Like, maybe Wrangler is kind of like, I manage them. I don't tame them. That's different. You know, like, you're not trying to completely get rid of the brat. Maybe in the way that a tamer might, where it's like, let's extinguish the brat for the time being. No, you want to just wrangle it. You want to maintain it. You want to corral it in a certain direction, but not necessarily fully get rid of it. That's maybe how I would interpret that difference, but it's splitting hairs, really. Oh, thank you. I listen to your shows each time I drive to visit my sub. Very good advice and concepts. You were so welcome, Bombast. I am glad that you like it. And I have done that many a time myself, listening to various kinky podcasts. So I'm glad that I can pay it forward in terms of advice that is given while listening in a car ride. It's one of the best ways to do it for sure. Like, for me, I don't know what they would have. Submissive wife, 1950s housewife sub. They don't really have anything that I could see that indicated that. You'd think housewife would be an option. Housewife, house husband, house slave, house servant. That I didn't see that on there. That could be a whole category they could explore for sure. Would goblins or ducks be a type of brat? I certainly know a lot of brats that call themselves goblins, but I don't think they literally mean in like, I'm going to roleplay being a goblin. I think they just mean like sort of goblin-esque in terms of like the primordial sense of chaos and confusion that goes along with somebody being goblin-esque. Is werewolf on there? I did not see werewolf, I don't think. Okay, now I gotta go back. But this is the thing, though. It's hard to search through, so maybe I just missed it. Because if wolf or like something wolf-related isn't on there, that's definitely a big thing to overlook for sure. Because that's like a lot of people are into that. A lot of people are into the wolf stuff for sure. Housewife is a distinct role. That's definitely true. Oh, I don't want to remove that. I want to add a new one. Life partner is the only thing I kind of see under relationships for like, just primary nesting partner. Yeah, life partner. That's kind of it. There's not really anything in relationship. Maybe in, okay. Let's see. Let's look at roles here for a second. Well, there is alpha, beta, sigma, and omega. Why is sigma on here? Who identifies as a sigma except for alpha males, like alpha male podcaster bros, as opposed to like, you know, alpha, beta, omega verse stuff. Maybe we invented. I mean, bitch is on here now, and I'm kind of pro that. I kind of like that, TBH. Because I feel like bitch can be both like an empowering thing, and it can also be a degrading thing simultaneously. It's a very multi-purpose term. Pixie is on here as well. See, this is what I mean. Like, we just get so niche, right? Like, Pixie is on here. Pillow Queen is on here. Unicorn, Cougar, Cub, Bull, Cupcake, Hot Wife, Hot Husband, Vixen, Stag. There's like something for staff. I feel like that's not it though. It's like not quite. This is what I mean by we just need to let people put in their own roles. I don't know. Maybe that's just like complicated to do for some reason. But if somebody can have urinal as a role, we gotta have housewife and house husband. No, there's nothing on here. The closest thing is still service submissive. Or maybe property. There's nothing else that's like close that I can see on this list. That's unfortunate. I mean, there's literally everything else on planet Earth, I feel like. Also, not seeing wolf. Oh, no, wolf. It was right in front of me. Wolf is on there next to bear. Not werewolf, though. Just wolf. Or woof, if you like. Sometimes I say wolf, but I mean, it's just how my family says wolf. We pronounce it wolf because we're country folk, okay? Wait, okay, never mind. I missed this part. There's one called Chaos Gremlin Tamer and Chaos Gremlin. John, just let people write out whatever they want to for their own DS role. This is getting a little bit ridiculous at this point. Come on. Come on. There's a much easier solution to this versus having an infinite scrolling non-alphabetized list. Like, if you're going to have a list be this unwieldy, could we not generally endeavor to make it in alphabetical order? Because otherwise, I don't know how to search this. Because slut is right next to princess, and like, lord is right next to pixie, and like, I don't know, how are those two things together? I have no idea. Like, what's going on there? I don't know. Anyways, it's my my Fat Life rant. Ha! Does the duck go around yelling Aflac during the entire scene? That is a meme only millennials and older folk will understand. I don't think I've seen an Aflac commercial with the duck in like probably 15 years. It's where your Tom throws bread at you. Oh my god. Amazing. Well, if you count Goblin as Bratty Goblin King, that can be the Bratty Top. I feel like, yeah, sure. I think Goblin King would probably be kind of generally bratty. He was bratty in the movie. Makes sense. I don't know if duck is a pet plaything exclusively. I don't know what else it would be. I don't know what else it would be. What about Smurfdom? True, there's no Smurf representation on here. That needs to be corrected immediately. I don't currently have my Twitch up. I've been kind of meaning to test out Twitch again a little bit more. My worry with Twitch is, I mean, you know, TOS stuff, really. Not wanting to say or talk about things that are against Twitch TOS accidentally, and that's, you know, always a problem. Always a problem. Like, you don't really, I mean, this could change. I don't really ever see anyone get banned from, like, YouTube streaming for anything they talk about during a live stream. Like, you have to be pretty egregious. You basically have to be, like, accused of a felony to get your YouTube account banned. Or you have to just post pornography, or what YouTube thinks is pornography. That's it. War crimes, porn. Those are the two things you get done for on YouTube. But, you know, they're happy to demonetize you for whatever reason they feel like. I decided to try poly because one of my partners is, and I was interested in it, but now they barely talk to me. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that, Sky. And I'm a bit hurt because I changed my lifestyle for them to pretty much ignore me. That, I could see that being really, really hurtful, Sky. You are absolutely completely valid in feeling hurt. I wouldn't even necessarily call this a, like, oh, you're not suited for poly thing. Now, I imagine your other partner that's doing this behavior, they might try to tell you that if they're an asshole or completely ignorant to the scope of their behavior and how it affects you emotionally. But it's not normal to have a partner that you become poly with, or for even, and then they just, like, stop talking to you or they barely talk to you. I would say, you know, my recent is in kind of like my 2019 experience onward has been that during the pandemic itself, and people, like, they weren't working, they were at home, everyone wanted to talk all the time. I would say the last 3 years, the people that I have been getting to know for the first time during that time period, a lot of them do spread their attention pretty thin, not because they're not interested, but just because they've got life, they've got work, they got the partners to talk to, and it's hard to have a daily maintained conversation with, like, 3 different people all at the same time. So, you know, that's one of the problems. So I'd say in polyamory in general, it's not uncommon for people to not be as available for everyday conversation or texting or phone calls as you would maybe expect from a monogamous relationship. But to have your relationship suddenly change because of then becoming polyamorous, like, I think that's valid to be heard about it. I think, you know, I can't tell you what to do, but if I was in your position, I would try to be direct. Because, like, at this point in my life, I don't have time to waste. Like, I'm not trying to be in a relationship that doesn't work for me. And so if, like, and I had this happen, you know, in my own life, not this exact thing, but kind of a similar to things I've had to do before, where, like, there was somebody that I was really interested in, and they were really enthusiastic about seeing me, and, you know, when we would go on dates and spend time together, they loved hanging out with me, but they just didn't have time physically in person to have, like, in-person time together. And also, like, texting maybe wasn't as regular. I'm not, like, a huge texting person, so, like, I'm okay if we don't talk every single day. That's fine. But, you know, it was the combination of not texting on a more regular basis and also not being able to see each other together. Even though they were telling me they wanted to spend time with me and see me, but just, like, couldn't make it happen. I was like, okay, we got to check in about this. I want you to know what my expectations are if we're going to be maintaining a romantic relationship. I want to be able to see you this many times a month or times a week, and I would like to be able to text more frequently, maybe like every other day, even if it's just for like a short period of time. And then they took that information, they thought about it, and they decided that they weren't actually able to meet my needs in a romantic relationship, which made them realize that at this point in their life, they weren't really ready to do polyamory because they had so many other things going on in their life, and they were trying really hard to change that. And, you know, sometimes you gotta have a wake-up call about, like, you know, you can really want to be polyamorous but not actually have room for it personally in your lifestyle. Like, it doesn't have to just be, I can't be poly because I'm too jealous or whatever. Like, lots of factors make it. So even though you want to be poly, it doesn't necessarily actually work out for you. Sometimes you just have to tell people and be upfront about, like, hey, like, I really like you. I want to be with you. I've enjoyed being with you before, but I'm not getting my needs met. And these are the needs that I have. And this is my expectation. And, like, if you can't meet that need, then we need to rethink the nature of our relationship. And I think that can be really painful and hard to do. But if somebody if they're not paying attention to you and you feel like your needs aren't being met, I think you really got to monitor how they respond to knowing that they are not meeting your needs. Like, is it deflection? Do they say that you're just jealous? Do they try to say, well, you should be more independent? If they're very deflective, that is a big red flag, kind of regardless of if their personality or availability changes, because that's somebody that doesn't really indicate, to me at least, that they're concerned with your needs overall. Whereas if they're more sensitive to it and they're like, oh my gosh, I had no idea, I'm so sorry, I've just really been invested in this new person and I've been busy at work, and they kind of explain why it happened, but they recognize that it is a problem and they work with you to make some kind of concrete change. Like, this is what I'm going to do from now on. I'm going to scale back this other new relationship. I'm going to reinvest more time in you. I'm going to commit to doing whatever thing that you'd want to do together, and see if they can actually do it. Sometimes it's just like, people get lost in it when they decide to be polyamorous and they're talking to a bunch of people. Like, I know people that, like, going on dating apps is their main hobby. Like, they love going on new dates. They love meeting people. They love, they love love. They love, so they're always preoccupied with any other people in their life. And so they don't always, like, their new relationships get the maximal amount of attention, and their older relationships get very minimal attention, which I think is sort of inverted from how it really should be. But, it's been my experience, at least. Okay, so that wasn't even really a question, but I kind of got off on a tangent there. Do you watch any reality TV shows like 90 Day Fiancé or The Ultimatum? I think I've seen The Ultimatum, or I've heard of it at least. So I have watched Too Hot to Handle. I've seen that one a couple times. I have seen... Was it Dated and Related? What the fuck was that? Yeah, it's Dated and Related. I watched like half a season of that, which, you guys don't know what that is. It does sound like it's incest, and it is definitely incest bait in the way that it is advertised, which is why I watched it, because I was like, what the fuck? Like, what is happening here? I was like, they are teasing incest. I have to know what the fuck, like, how they justify that. But essentially, it's a more traditional, like, dating show in terms of, like, it's sort of vain and vapid. But it's sibling pairs that are both single, and they go to a villa together, and they have to wingman for each other to go on dates, and, like, yeah, it's like a whole thing. So, watch Dated and Related, but my favorite one is, I think it's Are You the One? Yeah, that's the one, if that's the right one I'm thinking of, that's the one where you have, like, 20 people that are all living together in, like, a big villa, and they have to find each other's perfect match. There's a season of it that's, like, the bisexual season, and that one is legitimately actually really good. But I don't have cable, so I don't really watch a lot of reality TV, but Are You the One is, like, that I will definitely go back and, like, I've only seen 2 seasons of it. I watched, like, one really trashy season of it that was very bad, and I watched one season of it that was, like, the actual good one, that was the bisexual one. That one's from MTV. And it's been around for, like, almost 10 years now. It's been a hot thing. But I've never really been into, like, the Real Housewives or the Kardashians, or there's one that's about boats. What's that one? Below Deck or Below Decks or something. I haven't watched any of those before. I kind of know of them because they're so in pop culture. Like, there's one of the Real Housewives that, like, their husband got done for fraud, and the Kardashians obviously are impossible to escape. And then there's there's people that are dying, Kim, or like whatever. Like, or there's people that are dying, Courtney. I forget which sister it is that gets called out for like freaking out about losing her diamond earring in the ocean. Like, I don't think I care about that, but I do kind of like the dating show ones because they're like, especially the ones where like you'd end up with people actually having happy matches. My problems with like Too Hot to Handle or Dated and Related is like they only pick hot, uninteresting, stupid people. And I can't relate to any of them. Like, at least on the seasons of Are You the One I've watched, like, yes, there are kind of like more vapid pretty people on there, but you get people that are like they like have like a secret desire to cross dress. Like, you get people that are like, oh, that's like interesting, that's okay, like things you wouldn't necessarily hear of or know about. You get kind of, I think, more realness with it than some of the other dating shows I've seen. Yeah, so anyways, I would like to watch more reality TV, but there's so much other TV I have to watch. I feel just crushed by the amount of television that I could be watching. It might be fun to make that a Patreon thing where we like pick up watching like some kind of reality TV show together. That could be fun. Like kind of watching it as it's airing. The thing I really need to catch up on that I'm almost done watching is been watching Outlander, but I haven't actually watched an episode of Outlander in like probably a couple months. Definitely missed out on some time to be able to watch that. I'm gonna make time tonight to watch something for sure. Cause I don't normally the problem is just like we have one TV and it's shared and like it's never free when I want to use it, and so I pretty much just spend a lot of time in my room like if I have free time. So I don't get a lot of time to have like TV time to myself, and like it's really hard for me to be like, oh, I should stop doing this and like I should watch something. Like I feel like I'm becoming my mom. Like I just always have to be doing something, and like I can't like let myself have hobbies, but I should. But it's hard. Do you have any issues reading cursive? No, not at all. I know some people do. I also don't have problems like with people that have English accents. Like, and by which I mean people who have accented English when they speak. I generally don't have issues with that. Like even if it's like weird Scottish, I'm like fine. Like I get it usually, but no, cursive, all that's fine with me. She is definitely a fluffy baby, that is for sure. Why are people weird about that offer? I mean, I guess maybe it seems clinical to some people for Braille. I don't know. I mean, I feel like I was really fortunate in that I went to schools that were very like inclusive, and like they integrated a lot of students that had disabilities into classrooms, and so like I wasn't really separated from students that had like other stuff. Like even when I was in elementary school, we had kids in my class that had like cochlear implants or like really really intense hearing aids or used Braille, or they like assisted like learning devices or something in the classroom. So I was really lucky from like an early age. I was exposed to like students that, you know, like in the same way that somebody might need glasses. Like it wasn't a big deal. So I'm glad I had that, because I think some people are just like, they get weirded out by things they're not familiar being around. And it's sad. We should be around more things. Like, especially as like, if you're a kinky person, you got to broaden your horizon a little bit, you know? It doesn't really pay to be close-minded. Watching Bandit Cam is all the reality. Yes, this is all the reality you need. Is this a reality show? I guess it is. She's fully asleep right now. She's fully asleep. I can see her you can see her fluff move up and down when she breathes. It's very cute. What kind of keyboard do I have? I have it looks like it's like a Logitech. I don't know which one it is. Looks like it's MX something. Is there a name on here? I don't know. I have to recharge it actually, which is something I don't love about it. But also I can just have it plugged in, so it's not really that big of a deal. I gotta remember to do that before I'm not able to use any of the buttons on it anymore. Sometimes I'm like, why isn't my keyboard working? It's always because it's out of power. Every time. Happens every time. She is 100% a Pomeranian. That is for sure. She is definitely my little fur ball. She's not a usual color for a Pomeranian, but she is one through and through. Not as barky as a usual Pomeranian, but it's only if there's not squirrels around. But even then, she has developed a truce with some of the squirrels in the yard. There's regulars that come by, and she's like, you're allowed to be here. You can be in the yard. But if new squirrels come in, like we have a blonde squirrel that's been hanging out around here recently. Like, it's literally like, you know how in The Sword and the Stone, the Disney movie, you know how they turn into squirrels for a little bit, and there's, like, the girl one's kind of, like, well, this is actually the real squirrels, like, kind of the blonde-colored squirrel, and then, well, okay, wait, maybe I'm mixing up the squirrel colors, and I want to make sure I'm making my reference here correctly. Yeah. Oh, she's actually more red, and he's kind of like a blondie orange color. So, yes. So one of the squirrels has recently started to visit us, and I don't know, I'm assuming it's a she, I don't really know. Kind of like a blondie colored squirrel. Not like albino or anything, but just sort of like a light morph of a squirrel. And that one is not allowed in the yard, let me tell you. That is a no-no. She has not passed the vibe check with Bandit yet. What about 90 Day Fiancé and Married at First Sight? I feel like I've seen people talk about 90 Day Fiancé. Like, I know, it's like Ed, right? The guy with, like, the no neck. That's, like, 90 Day Fiancé. I've heard a little bit about it, and, like, the kind of it being sort of like a green card mill for people. I haven't seen too much about it. I don't think I've seen an episode of it, but I know of it, sort of. Maybe it's Married at First Sight is the one with the green card. Maybe it's both of them. Haven't seen Married at First Sight. Again, I sort of know about it. Isn't that the one where you, like, meet and you get married immediately afterwards? That one feels like that has to be a bad idea. I don't know if I love that one. Like, I kind of like the premise of stuff where it's like, you meet, you get to know people, it's like a big house. Like, I like that where it's, you get to see the characters kind of meeting and get to know each other. I feel that's a much more positive premise than being like, all right, you're married, you know? I did not watch The Walking Dead. My sir and I call the ultimatum the old tomato. Oops, she gave him the old tomato. Oh no. I don't know what that's a reference to. Should I be scared? Alright, anyways. If you guys want to ask me more questions about shows I've seen, you're going to be shocked at all the ones I haven't seen, I'm sure. Oh, I do not get it. I mostly watch documentaries if I watch something on Netflix, so I don't really get around to it. I find committing to a TV show to be really difficult because it's like, it takes so much time and it's so long, and what if I don't even actually really like it or it never gets finished? Like documentaries, you're in, you're out, you know they're going to be wrapped up. If there's a second season, it's going to be a new premise. Like, I like the certainty of knowing that the thing I'm watching has an end to it at some point. I've heard about quite a few colleges and universities that do have kink clubs, but not all of them do from what I know. Well, from what I've read before. What is a good time to inform someone I'm about to date that I'm a sex worker and have DID? I didn't put it in my bio because I didn't want to be off-putting, but I like this guy and I don't want to blow it. I think if you like the person and you don't want to come across as deceitful, my opinion is always that sooner is better. And the reason why I advocate for that is there's sort of this happy medium ground where, like, they're not a total stranger online, and so them having some information about you is, like, maybe not risky from that perspective. But also, if you know them, if they know more about you, like they know what your license plate is and your apartment complex and, like, more identifying information like your last name, then, like, it becomes more of a problem potentially if you tell them later and they have a bad reaction and, like, completely lose it, which is probably not really going to happen. I think most people, even if they don't like it, they're not going to, like, go full on crazy stalker mode. But, you know, never say never, because sometimes even people you think are going to be perfectly rational and okay with information act in very unexpected ways. So you can't always take that for granted. But I think generally, you know, maybe that could be something you talk about on a first date, because especially if they ask you what you do, I imagine that subject is going to come up pretty early on, and so it's worth talking about and just kind of bringing it up casually. As far as the DID part goes, I mean, I actually don't know what somebody's in the mental health field would advise. I feel like, again, like probably sooner is always better. And if you don't feel safe enough with this person to tell them that information, that's probably a pretty good indication they're not the right person to be dating. But if you do have mental health support, you have some kind of support structure, I would definitely ask them what they think the best path forward is. I just like, this is also my thing with like not waiting to tell people about being polyamorous is like, there gets to be a point where they have more identifying information about you. And if they're the kind of person who's going to really, really overreact to certain information, it's better that they don't know that information yet. Like your last name and your phone number that you use for everything and your car that you drive and the license plate. Like just minimizing the amount of identifiable information they have access to. If they are going to blow up and be really angry about it, I think is better. So earlier is better. Because also, like, don't waste time. Don't waste time on people that aren't going to be compatible with you and aren't going to get your life. My university had a sex toy bingo night. Oh god, that would definitely make front page news. But that was the wildest it got. There was a nice dungeon in the area, but not related to the school at all. Can you imagine if a university had an official relationship with a BDSM dungeon? That would be front page news for like a week on Fox. Oh my god, that would be wall-to-wall 24-hour coverage. I am working on a presentation for a class on asexuality and kink. I'm going to be teaching in a couple weeks. Is it okay if I refer to a couple of your opinions or ideas? Yes. If you feel like it's a direct enough quote to like warrant attributing it to me, or if you have like a works cited or something you're going to be including with your presentation, feel free to include it there. I definitely have known people in the community that get like very persnickety and like very uptight about like, you stole my idea and used it in your presentation. It's like, where did you get this idea from? Because I know you didn't invent the pain gate model of control theory. Like, you know, I whatever the fuck it's called, probably just messed up the order of that phrase, but like there are people get very upset about like, you referenced my ideas and didn't like refer to me, and it's like, well, it's because I've heard 4 different people share that idea, and this is that idea, if you shared it, was from a class I took 4 years ago, and like it's like at some point the information is so general to not being worth attributing to somebody. Like if the information is like, flogging the kidneys is generally not considered to be best practice. Like, that is such blanket information. I really think that that's, like, warranted to be like, this person, you know, whatever. Because it's like, again, it's one thing if you're writing a paper and you're, like, submitting it and you got to provide quotes. But if it's just, like, a random presentation or a video where the work cited or the citations generally are maybe not to the same standard as, like, a written paper would be, you know, that's something that's worth considering there. But yeah, I know people just get very upset. It's like, but you didn't invent this. Where'd you get your information from? And I've heard this so many other times. I didn't steal it from you, because that would require that it's an idea I've heard many times from many, many other people, you know. But even then, like, if it is something that is a direct quote, I will directly quote it and I will share the website it is from. I will put a link to it on screen. Like, I'm not interested in like stealing anybody's ideas. But if it's something like, I think the thing that somebody got really mad at me for once is I talked about in a presentation, visualization as a pain coping mechanism, which is not a kink idea. Like, that's not like breathing exercises and regulating via your vagus nerve and all of that. Like, that is a basic psychological principle that is not in any way attributable to like the kink community. But this person, I guess, thought they invented the idea of recommending breathing exercises as a pain coping mechanism for people that are masochists. So, like, okay. Big up to all the super chatters. Woo woo. Yes, thank you all so much for all your super chats tonight. I really appreciate it, and hopefully I haven't missed anybody's questions. I know suddenly we're like, I feel like I just talked and suddenly it'd been an hour. So thank you all so much for helping keep me awake until I have time to go to the gym, because because I'm going to the gym after this. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do today at the gym. I'm not feeling super great. I have cramps everywhere. It's not really a fun time, but I'm going to try my best to power through it and have a good workout because consistency is key. Yeah, I don't have TikTok either. I'm like, no thanks. I see the good TikToks I need to see. They go to Twitter. They end up on my timeline. I don't really need to browse. Ah! Straight men squint like they've never seen a butthole. My dom to me today. They talk about the talk of outrage at BDSM club reminded me of that. Oh yeah. There was also somebody that there's people every year who get really mad about Folsom and be like, oh my god, people at Folsom, they're flogging each other and they're not wearing any clothes and their genitals are out and it's like, you can't just wander off the street into Folsom and be like, I am completely innocent and naive. Like, if the rows and rows and lines and lines and lines of men wearing only leather chaps and a vest wasn't enough to tell you what you were about to walk into, if you missed all of the masks and the ball gags and the leashes and the collars, that is on you. If you waited in line for 30 minutes to get into Folsom and then you were like, oh my god, I didn't expect to see this here, that's on you for being ignorant. I'm sorry. That's on, like, you went in there wanting to be outraged, wanting to be performatively horrified. Anyway, sorry, that's like not related to anything we've been talking about, but every year people get mad at Folsom for just like existing, and it's like, come on now. How long has Folsom been around for in its present form? At least like 25, 30 years? Get it together. Come on. Y'all know what you're getting into. You just go in there because you want to be annoying. You just want to be annoyed. My motto is don't knock until you try it. That is a great motto. That is a good motto to stick by for sure. My Zerg has been every second of every day with me. I'm like, please give me 30 minutes alone to re-energize. I feel you on that one. Absolutely. I'm like, I really like being here. I really like being with you. I need to lay on the floor in the darkness and just do that for a little bit. Like, my favorite part of the day is if I have a moment where I can just like lay on the floor, like on my stomach for like 20 minutes. I'm like, just be on the carpet, be on the floor, not having to like stare at anything. It's amazing. Not even to sleep, just to be like decompressing. Actually decompressing. I have a question. What is it like being with someone who doesn't know about the community and you're telling them what you are a part of? I think is what that's trying to say. So I don't have personal experience while being cognizant of the fact that I was kinky and like feeling kinky and like doing kinky stuff or being part of the community online but not telling a partner about it. Basically, I discovered I was kinky and like fully embraced it after a breakup when I was in college. Also, yes, that was the can. It's okay, little girl. I know. We don't like the loud noises. You and I. Peas in a pod. You and me. No, but I haven't had that experience personally. For people I know where they have been in the community and then they are trying to explain to a partner who's not into it. I mean, I feel like you generally get like one of like 3 broad categories of responses. You get kind of like absolute hard no, disgusting, this is the worst, like when you do tell them about it and they don't want to hear about it and they break up with you because they're horrified and they're disgusted by it and they think the whole thing is disgusting. And then you get people that are sort of like very passively accepting. They don't really want to do it or think about it or talk about it, but they're kind of willing to for a period of time for the sake of the relationship, but really long term, it's not their thing. It doesn't make them feel good. They don't want to keep doing it, and it can lead to resentment to have somebody who's in that position. And then finally, you get people that are enthusiastic about it. They maybe are like, I don't know about this, but sure, let's explore. And they want to spend that time with you, learning about it, educating themselves, having conversations about it, and they are on that journey with you. But yeah, it's a difficult process. It's hard to know exactly where somebody is going to land before you start having that conversation. But I really think if kink is important to you, like I think maybe you said something earlier in the chat about being an ABDL. Like if that is important to you and you want to have that in a relationship, once again, easy for me to say this as a random stranger on the internet, but I do think that talking about it earlier, once you have a certain level of trust, is usually better, because like you don't want to spend a year or 2 years in a relationship where you're not going to be able to have your needs met or have your kinks be something you can be totally open about. Like at the very least, I think it's, even if you can't do it with that person, being able to be open about your kinks is, I think, the bare minimum for most people to have a happy long-term relationship. Trust me, at this point in my life, at this point in my career, I have talked to many, many people where they got married at a young age. They got married 18, 19, 20, maybe just like 18 to 24. They got married. They got married pretty young. They've been married now for the majority of their lives. They're in their 50s, 60s. They had kids, they raised them, and just kink never came up. And for 40 years, they never talked about their kink life. They never talked about having a kink or a fetish or what porn they watched or anything. Everything was very secretive. It was very shameful. You can imagine that being the case, especially in the 80s. We didn't have a community online. We didn't have the resources we do today. Like, there's reasons for why it was so secretive. But now that we have the internet and everything is so open and so accessible, it is so much easier to be open and to share resources and be like, hey, I'm like these people over here. This is what I'm doing. This is what I want to do. And like to help your partner understand that and have it not seem so, wild and crazy and, completely out there, because kind of now I think more people have a more baseline understanding of kind of kink, and generally they don't know really the specifics of your kink. But yeah, the people that I've met and talked to where they try after like 40 years to suddenly bring kink into the relationship, it's very difficult. Usually it's a male submissive who wants their wife to be dominant or to order them around or humiliate them or something. And the wives are pretty much always, from what I've seen, very uncomfortable with it. They don't really know what to do. They kind of go along with it because they have been married for so long, but it is an uphill struggle. It's an uphill battle. And it's very difficult to have everyone involved be happy. Now, I have discovered with other people as well, they do get into it and they talk about it. And then when the wife finds out that, oh, now I can make my husband do the house chores and really he wants to do them, suddenly it's very fulfilling. So, like, there are ways to make that work and have it be more equitable all the way around. But it is difficult. So that's why I recommend, like, if you want to have a long-term serious relationship with kink as a part of it, talk about it early, talk about it often. Don't hide it, because I would almost guarantee at some point, if you are fortunate to live long enough, you will have a time in your life when you're like, I want to be able to do this. I've done my time in society. I've paid my bills. I've paid for my retirement. I've worked in the grind of the rat race for decades and decades and decades. I want to have fun. I want to be able to do what makes me feel happy. And then not being able to do that is just so devastating, frankly. Like, especially if you can't do it with a spouse you've been together for forever. Like, that's hard. So, just kind of put that in the back of your noggin there. All right, should have time here for maybe 1 or 2 more questions. But if I haven't answered your question yet, you can always come back for our next live stream. We do this every Friday. Actually, I will say this. Next Friday is the 20th. I will not be here next Friday. I will be in San Jose for Dark Odyssey Surrender. I'm very excited about it. I've not been to a Dark Odyssey event in years and years now. And so if you're going, come say hi to me. But I will not be here for that. I will be enjoying the dungeon somewhere probably that evening. So I will not be here for that. But next, the weekend after the weekend of the 27th, I will be here. So right before Halloween, we will be hanging out. We will be here. And it should be a fun time. So there you go. I had chocolate almond milk shake today. It was delicious. That sounds really good. Chocolate almond milk is delish. Oat milk also, that's how you convert people to plant milk. I'm convinced. Oat milk is, I don't know why it took us so long to make oat milk. I don't know why we didn't do it sooner. I don't know if it was some kind of like production thing or like a preservation thing that made it difficult to do earlier on a larger scale. But oat milk is every single person that I know that drinks dairy milk, that has tried oat milk, loves it and wants it. In fact, I would even say oat milk tastes better in certain beverages. Like a chai latte, much better with oat milk than with dairy milk from people that I have had it with before. So, little note about that. Are you familiar with moral foundations theory? Have you considered it in relation to kink? I am not familiar with that. Let me Google that real quick in case maybe I know what it is but don't know it by that name. Okay, it's a social psychological theory. Interesting. Okay, no, I am not familiar with this unless maybe I blanked about learning about it in like a psych class at some point. Oh, this is like a relatively recent thing then, I guess? Oh, sure. The two main sources of it are this of a paper from 2013 and then something from 2011, which is right before I was in college and during college. Like 2013 was right before my freshman year of college. So that would explain why I hadn't learned about it necessarily. Various scholars have offered moral foundations theory as an explanation of differences among political progressives, conservatives, and right libertarians, as opposed to left libertarians, which is like how much of the world means libertarian, and have suggested they can explain a variation in opinion on politically charged issues such as same-sex marriage and abortion. Yeah, my education about kind of those things definitely used different models and theories for explaining some of those differences, but I could see this maybe even potentially building off of that a little bit if I did some other work. Interesting. So, sort of purity, in-group authority, fairness, harm. Interesting. In terms of like what we're most concerned about. Interesting. Okay, I'll look into that. Sounds interesting. The cat allergies are just really getting to me today. Whew, okay. It definitely takes work in genetics to be that fluffy. That's true. Lots of brushing. Mostly brushing. Is it polyamory when a guy has two girlfriends and they're a throuple, but the guy doesn't let the women have other partners? Yes, that would technically be a form of polyamory. Polyamory doesn't necessarily mean that everyone is open on all sides. You could have polyfidelity, which is where usually that's like two couples dating each other in like kind of a group like foursome thing, and they don't date outside of that. I have to admit, I have a bias against this kind of framework where it's like we're in a throuple and it's a guy and his girlfriend and they decide together to only date one woman together because the man can't stand the idea of having to have another penis in the relationship, and then the woman wants to explore her bisexual side, but then they bring the third into the relationship and she can't date anyone else besides the two of them. And like, I just feel like it ends up being kind of patriarchal and messy, and I especially don't like it when it's like the man, because he's the man, gets to dictate that the women can't date other people and won't let them date other people. Because let me tell you something about polyamorous men. Polyamorous men, for the most part, really, really do not like being controlled by their partners, or the perception of control. They don't like being told they shouldn't date a certain person, or this and that person is bad news, or not compatible with them, or their condom usage or STI testing, a lot of polyamorous men are very controlling themselves about their own behaviors and not letting other people dictate boundaries to them, even when they're perfectly reasonable, like condom usage, for example. And that's true for a lot of men, but I think in polyamory it gets weaponized a little bit more because, oh, you want me to do this? You're just being jealous. And like it gets messy in a way that monogamy just does not have room for. Like, you're not having conversations in monogamy generally about like condom usage or STI testing with other people, because that just isn't a thing that happens usually. But the guy doesn't let the women have other partners. Like, ideally, if you are having a healthy throuple and you are co-dating each other as an equilateral triad, because that's what you're saying you're doing, it should not be the man on high dictating to two women. It should be a group conversation where everyone has equal say. And if the two women go, well, we want to be able to date other people, and the man goes, but I don't want you to, sorry, man, you are now being kicked out of this relationship. The two women will now find another man together. Does that ever happen? Not really. Usually with a throuple relationship, the way that it breaks up is either the original main couple breaks up, or if the man breaks up with both of the girls to date somebody else who doesn't want to be in a throuple or be in a polycule and they want to be monogamous together, the two women generally don't stay just dating each other. They usually break up too. What that says about bisexuality and polyamory and patriarchy and everything else, I don't know, but food for thought. Super chat here from Andrew. I see kink people as people who want to play with moral foundations rather than vanilla people who want to feel secure in those foundations. What do you think? Having not been fully versed in the theory outside of a Wikipedia article and briefly scanning it, I would say that kinky people do want to have a solid moral foundation, maybe even more so than vanilla people, due to our conversations about things like having a really robust framework around consent, for example, and that being really important. Things like aftercare, negotiations, debriefing, generally having conversations about what we want and how we feel about the things that we want and if things go wrong or whatever. But I think it's a little bit difficult to say, you know, how maybe that relates to security in this particular foundations framework, or, you know, I think some people very much like playing with taboo and the edge and not following typical vanilla moral standards. I don't think that means that kinky people are amoral or without morals. I think that kinky people have a different set of norms for their morality. Like, kinky people have norms, they have mores. They just have them in different places than maybe vanilla people do, if that makes sense. I'm so sorry, but I've been vegan for 7 years and I really hate oat milk. The texture is like, it's like silt and I can't stand it. Oh, that's very descriptive. I've been vegan and then vegetarian before that for quite a long time now as well. I like, my favorite, I do like the chocolate almond milk. I really like, my usual go-to is I get a protein blend, and it's like, I think it's like pea, cashew, and almond or something all together, and I really enjoy that one. I'm just saying, for converts to plant milk, oat milk seems to be a really good entry point. But yeah, to each their own. There's a reason why we have 15 different types of plant milks, and everyone has their own preferences there for sure. Looks moderately politically sussy. Yes, it is something actually the one thing with almond milk and why I prefer oat milk over it for mixed beverages, if I'm doing like a coffee drink or something, or a tea drink, is, which doesn't really happen that often, but like, you know, I'm not an expert in this, is what I'm trying to say. Like the 3 or 4 times a year I get like a mixed coffee or tea beverage with, like, you know, it's something brewed and that has oat milk in it or whatever. Almond milk tends to get very, very hot and stay hot for a lot longer, which can be good in a long commute. But when you want to immediately drink something, I have found it difficult to enjoy an almond milk chai latte without scalding my tongue, whereas oat milk for some reason seems to be a little bit more mild. And then I actually have a mild soy allergy, so I try not to drink soy milk. I will eat soy curls because I am still a masochist and I'm willing to accept the consequences of it, but I generally try not to. Yeah. Vegan for 23 years. Wow, good for you. I like oat milk, but the brand matters. For homemade sprouted sesame milk is phenomenal. Oh, interesting. You know, I've never really tried making my own homemade milk before, like plant milk. It always seems to be really time intensive, but I will, if you're recommending it as a 23-year vegan, I will look up sprouted sesame milk. Do you have to, I'm assuming you have to sprout your own sesame seeds. That sounds very complicated. It sounds detailed, but I like the concept. Yeah, I think sort of with like veganism and different plant milks and stuff, it's like there's just so many options, so many different things to go for. I am disappointed though a little bit. Ben and Jerry's is now changing over all of their plant-based ice cream products into oat milk formulas, and I really like their sun butter formula. Like when they have a sunflower based one they use currently for some of their products at least, and I really like that one. But I'm glad it's not fucking coconut. I will say that coconut, you're good for about 3 different flavors, and I'm glad that you're in a mix sometimes. Like I don't hate it if you're part of the whole collection, but just an only coconut milk, we've evolved. You know, we've evolved. Oat milk, I definitely had oat milk that I do not like and oat milk that I really like. It definitely depends on the brand. For sure, for sure. Okay, well, with that being said, I did not expect to end on the note of oat milk, but thank you all so much with being here tonight, keeping me company. Bandita and I are going to go. I'm going to go ahead and get ready for the gym before they close out for the evening. Hemp seed milk. Easy to make at home. I really do like hemp seed products, so I'll have to keep that in mind. I love hemp seed lotion, and like hemp seed, like oil stuff is really good. So, anyways, got distracted with the outro there for a second. We're wrapping up for tonight, guys. Thank you so much for being here. He's every Friday. We're not doing it next Friday because I will be traveling to San Jose for Dark Odyssey Surrender. I really, really hope to see you guys there. If anyone else is going there, feel free to come up and say hello and say hi. I would love that very much. But if not, I will be here next, like as in the Friday after next. So the Friday before Halloween. We will be here. We'll be celebrating. We'll be having a great time. Actually, wait, is Monday? Oh, shoot. I thought Monday was going to be Halloween. And I was like, ooh, it's going to be Halloween and on Monday, and I can dress up in a costume for my stream. It could be fun. No. I can still dress up in a costume. I can still make that happen. All right. Anyways, good night, guys. Thank you so much. And yes, coconut milk, like just coconut milk ice cream. No. Coconut milk in things that are cooked and baked. Yes. That's my opinion, solidly. Anyways, I gotta go, guys. Thank you so much for being here. And if you haven't already, please subscribe so you can get notifications for these live streams. And I will